I've had good and bad experiences with pets in my life. But now I think they're so cute and cuddly and sweet. And I love them so much that I asked Jay if we could have an episode about cute, cuddly pets and how they're helpful for our mental health. And he said yes. So let's talk about how pets heal and therapists steal. And stay till the end to find out what you can do if you don't have access to pets or therapists. Yay! So, Jay, I was in therapy for many, many years, and I've had a ton of different pets over my lifetime. How are pets better than therapists?
All right, first off, that title is to get attention. And I'm not as much of a hater on therapists as some people, or as people might think. That said, has an animal ever tried to force medication on you?
No.
Has an animal ever misunderstood you when you're expressing to them?
No.
Has an animal ever charged you hundreds of dollars for an hour of their time?
No.
But has a therapist ever done those things?
Yes.
So animals are winning?
I mean, animals won before we even started this episode. But yeah, already I can see why they're better than a therapist.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best argument because you could do the opposite with therapists. Like, can an animal give you articulate feedback? No, etc., etc., etc.
Right. Yeah.
But it does paint a picture.
Yes.
And if the goal of going to therapy is to improve your mental and emotional health, and some people are able to do the same thing just by interacting with animals, it's not a hard choice.
No, it's really not. I mean, who wouldn't rather play with a pet than go to therapy? It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they can't both be used together. I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive. I'm not saying one's better than the other exactly. But my stance is that it's worth trying one way before the other.
Okay, so say somebody watches this and they're like, okay, I'm going to get a pet.
Well, that's a bit of a leap. When I say try one before the other, I don't mean jump into becoming a full-fledged pet owner.
All right, well, they already have a pet, whatever,
right.
Okay? And so they have access to them, right? They're not going to put fake little glasses on them and sit them in a chair and lay on a couch. And
of course not, because the two helpers help in different ways. They have different methods.
Right.
One is, lay on a couch and pour out your heart and relive past trauma and whatever they do, right?
Right.
Or here's some meds. The other helps by elevating your emotional state, right? It helps by synchronizing you with them. It helps through unconditional love. It helps through soothing and healing and creature to creature contact.
Okay. So then we're saying that if you want to improve your mental health, it might be a good idea to start with pet contact.
Yeah.
Before you start paying therapists hundreds of dollars.
For a lot of people, yeah. I mean, if you're allergic, maybe not. Right? It's usually quite a bit of hassle and commitment to get a therapist. And it takes a lot of time and resources.
Right.
But to go to a petting zoo or visit a friend with a pet and see how that might affect you is a pretty easy experiment.
It's good. Thank you. All right. Well, I love cats and dogs and birds and all kinds of pets now. And I had a cat when I was young. I had a few, but I had one in particular that I felt close to and I spent a lot of time with and was really beneficial for me having someone to talk to because she never cared about what I had to say. She didn't judge me. She wasn't mean. She didn't give me her 2 cents. She just listened to everything that I had to say. Right. And I didn't understand until actually I met you, why I felt so close and attached the way that I did back then. Right. So how exactly do pets help heal anxiety and depression.
Yeah, so I was touching on that earlier,
right?
About the power of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes deeper than that, right? Everything in the universe has a frequency, a vibrational frequency. And if you Google it, I think scientists just figured out the vibrational frequencies for specific planets. So Jupiter has this one, Earth has that one, the sun has this one, etc.
Interesting. Okay.
They're always discovering new things,
right.
Measuring new things. And that includes each of us. We each have our own individual frequency. If you measure it, you can measure an overall frequency for an individual. And you can tell, like you meet one person and the vibe is off, right? This is what people say, the vibe is off. Usually it's just meant as a feeling, but that feeling is because of a discord in frequencies. You can feel the discord, that we're not on the same page.
Right.
You can feel one frequency from that shady criminal drug dealer on the corner, and you can feel another frequency from your best friend.
Yeah, this is why they say people have bad vibes, or that thing gave me bad vibes, or etc. Yeah.
Sure. And if you look at what a tuning fork does when it's rung next to a tuning fork of the same frequency, if you ring one, it will make the other one resonate.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you ring a tuning fork of a different frequency, nothing happens.
Right.
When they sync up, when they resonate, when they harmonize, that's when you get change, right? That's when you get impact.
Right.
And this is why people feel so alone sometimes. It's that they haven't found people who are on a similar frequency.
Okay.
That's why we say we're on a similar wavelength.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
You can feel it, right? Whether you dig into the science of it or if you go to the like woo hippie side of it, frequencies are frequencies. They resonate. And when we interact with certain things, we resonate with them or don't resonate with them. We're either ready for them or we're not. And a lot of times when we grow and mature, we start resonating with things that we never used to.
That's true. That's true.
That's because we've raised our frequency overall. We used to be a certain frequency of angsty teenager, and now we're a different frequency of grown adult, right?
Right.
I say all this because animals generally have a relatively high frequency.
Right.
Maybe they're not geniuses and they can't have a deep discussion about your childhood trauma, but they can maintain a high frequency, express and embody unconditional love. And when you interact with them, it's hard not to resonate. It's hard not to come up to their level.
Yes.
Even the meanest and cruelest of people, you put an animal in their hands, their whole demeanor changes.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Even the most traumatized child or sickly child, if you put an animal in their hands, their whole demeanor changes.
Yeah.
That's instant change. That's powerful change. Powerful change in some of the most difficult to reach people.
Yes. Yeah.
So you've met more therapists than I have.
Yes.
But would you say any of the therapists have as high and unconditionally loving frequency as an animal?
No, absolutely not.
I'm saying.
Hmm.
So how do animals help us? How can they help cure anxiety or depression? Well, if you are embodying a low frequency, like depression or anxiety, and you go hang out with a pet for a little while, if we could measure it, I almost guarantee you your frequency would have changed, elevated, at least slightly.
Right.
And that same thing can happen by talking to a therapist. I'd say it's a little slower and less guaranteed, but it can happen. At the same time, a lot of therapists will bring your frequency even lower by the time you're done talking to them.
Yes. Yeah.
They'll diagnose you with some incurable thing and they'll give up trying on you and they'll tell you you're going to be on meds forever and this kind of stuff. Where the animal is just going to be like, I believe in you, dude. Let's have a great day.
Yeah. Like, well, from my own experience, the therapists want to focus on the trauma of the situation, the things that are going wrong instead of the solution. But dogs and cats and other pets, they just want to be loved.
Yeah, and they're focused on the best thing they can find.
Right. They're focused on feeling good. You don't see a dog or a cat that's anxious and shaking and comes over to you and makes you feel elevated. Like if their vibe is lower, then, you know, the whole vibe is off, period. I've seen dogs like this that are super nervous and they make the owner nervous and the owner nervousness makes the dog more nervous. So yeah, like it definitely, animals and pets in general are usually so uplifting and raise the vibe and make you feel better, where a therapist, not really. In my experience anyway.
Yeah, and you make a good point. If you're really determined to feel down, you might actually be strong enough to bring an animal's vibe down and to make it as like lethargic as you when it's rare.
Yeah. Well, there's an episode of Friends where Joey's so depressed that Rachel doesn't love him. And after he told her that he loved her, and Phoebe brings him the happiest dog in the world, according to her. He was so happy and jumping and vibing. And then later on in the episode, Phoebe goes to visit them, and the dog is like all bummed out and laying down, and like their whole vibe has changed. And Joey's like, I broke him. Because he's so sad, he was able to lower the vibe of the amazing dog. But everything works out, like, because, it's a show. But it is possible to do that. Your vibe is so crap that you lower, the highest vibing creature in the world's vibe down. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. It's just a caveat.
Yeah.
It's super rare. And you can usually spot it when it's happening if you're paying attention.
Yes. Well, we're super high vibing people, and we went to the park once. We had a picnic at the park, and it was in the summertime, and we were just laying there, and every dog in that park came by to say hi to us.
It's nuts.
We've been there a million times, and a couple times dogs will come and see us or whatever, but we were just in such a good mood, and we were vibing so high that every single dog had not just come over to us, but come in the middle of us. How many of them came and sat down on our thing, and the owner was like, I'm so sorry. And we were just laughing it off because we knew we were like attracting their happiness and their vibe because we were in such good spirits.
Yeah. If animals and children like you, it's usually a good sign. You're on the right track.
Right.
In the business world, there's a saying, you're going to be as successful as your 5 closest friends, the 5 people you spend the most time around.
Right.
It sounds like just some cliche, but it's based on frequency and resonance.
Right.
And so the hobbies you do and the food you eat and the people you hang around will interact differently with your frequency depending on their frequency. And it's really important to find frequencies that suit you. And you don't want to go too high or too low because you won't even resonate with them at all. There'll be a clash.
Right.
But if you can find people that are on a similar wavelength but a little higher, they will inspire you or motivate you to do more and be bigger and be better.
Right.
The point isn't that some things are worse than others. The point is that some things are worse for you than others, and it's up to you to figure out what those are.
Fair enough.
And to me, a big part of that process would be seeing if an unconditionally loving animal helps you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So I spent a lot of years telling people that I didn't like pets. I didn't like animals, and I actively stayed away from them. After my cat died when I was in my 20s, I was determined to never have another pet again. I went through sadness and whatever. And so I had friends that had pets, and I would push them away as well. So if I was feeling really bad, why would I hide away from animals and claim to hate them if they were so good for my anxiety and they felt good to be around? Why would I do this?
That is a great question. And I can't say for sure. Maybe you were taught that strong, robust people are often animal haters and you wanted to role model that. So you wanted to look like a strong, robust person on the outside. Or maybe subconsciously, you weren't really ready to let go of your depression and you got something out of it. Like you like being the victim, or you like getting the attention, or you like people catering to you or walking on eggshells around you or trying to make you happy. And as long as you kept up the depression, that would continue. So subconsciously you would avoid the animals. Or maybe you just had a habit of hiding things, like of not wanting to feel vulnerable and not wanting to reveal any truths about yourself or any number of other things. I don't really know. But if you dig deep enough, you might know.
I mean, I guess I just didn't want to admit that I felt bad. I didn't want people to know that I felt bad.
So I'm not going to use an animal to feel better because then I have to admit I actually felt bad.
Yeah, I didn't want anyone to know that I was dealing with depression still after all those years. This was before I quit therapy, but after many years of medications and things. And so a lot of people assume when you go to therapy on a long-term basis, like if you're going every week and stuff, that you're healthy and you're feeling great and you're not depressed anymore. Why the hell are you going to therapy? Like, this was some family members' attitude towards me. And if I showed any sign of depression, it was met with, but you're in therapy. You've been in therapy for years. You're on medication. Like that's supposed to fix it and make it feel better.
I think it is. Actually,
I mean,
that's the whole point.
That's the point. It's supposed to, but it didn't for me. Like, therapy did not do anything for me. And I know people who have gone to therapy and have learned lessons in therapy, but their overall demeanor and their feelings don't change. So, but I don't know everyone, and I don't know all the data points, and I don't know all the therapists in the world. But
some people love it. Some people rave about their therapists.
Yes,
that's great.
But I don't see any changes in them. So, like, just because you have great conversations with somebody doesn't mean you're changing. So, anyway, so that was it then, really, because if I admitted that like it wasn't working, this is before I was ready to say like I'm fixing this on my own, then I guess that's why I claimed I didn't like pets. I didn't like animals, but it wasn't true. Secretly inside, every time I saw one, I'd be like, oh my God, they're so cute. And then I would but outside, and I never verbalize it. And now, when I see an animal, I lose my mind. Online, in real life, a photo, a video, like, they make me incredibly happy.
Sure. And a lot of people get flack for being enthusiastic about animals, especially a lot of feminine people.
Yeah.
Like, they get written off as dumb or dim or ditzy or foolish or
just
silly.
A dog.
Yeah, but actually it's really smart. Like, they stay happy and bubbly and enjoying life because they prioritize being around higher vibing creatures.
Right.
It's a good thing to do. It's a beneficial, positive, helpful thing for the most part. And most of the people who claim to hate animals don't really, or if they do, it's going to be a phase in their life that they're going to grow out of. They're eventually going to grow to love animals and start resonating with them as their vibration increases, as their frequency raises, right?
Right.
So, real talk, I used to hate animals too. But now animals and kids love me, and I love animals and kids because I matured, because I grew, because my frequency raised, and I became like a more whole, healthy, mature human being. And when I was younger, I thought to be a tough teenager, you have to hate animals, and I'm too busy for that responsibility and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's a very like low level understanding of how the world works.
Yeah. And we were together a while before I found that out about you, that you didn't like animals. And I thought, I was shocked because when I would tell people this, they would get mad. Like, people would get mad at me. How can you hate animals? How can you hate pets? Why? And then, like,
wait, when we met, I never said I hated animals.
No.
I was just like, not too big on pets.
You didn't say that. But, and I know you didn't, but I meant when I found out that you did before we met, right?
Yeah. When you found out about my animal hating past.
Yeah. I was like, I've never heard anyone, I've said it a million times. I've never ever heard anyone say that. And so I felt like bonded with you more, even though I don't feel that way now. Neither of us do. We love animals. And we've talked about getting a cat and a dog many times and a bunny. And it's just interesting because we both have a similar past where we were both angry people and we both were kind of hateful and kind of mean. And yet we both hated animals in that same area of time. So that tells me like people who are cold and distant to animals are similar. So sorry to call you out, but my ex-husband was like that. Like, and I didn't understand. I thought it was like the same as me at the time. It was like, oh, like, I don't want the responsibility of a pet. We have kids. We got stuff to do. But now I'm kind of looking back on some comments that he made and things that happened when we did get a dog that make me feel like he was in the same position as we were also when we disliked animals.
Well, this is a meme. The angry dad who swears he doesn't like pets, and then the next frame of the meme is pet arrived and he's cuddling up and won't let go.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I've seen tons of those memes. Yeah, it's true. Because people will say, I don't want a pet, I don't want an animal, but then when it's like forced on them, they end up really falling in love with the animal.
Yeah, and this goes back to our episode about everyone's a liar and not knowing what you want.
Yeah.
So when people say, I want this or I want that, in a month or a year or whatever, they'll discover, actually, I really wanted the opposite and I wanted it all along and I couldn't admit it to myself. And, people often don't know what they want. So it's a tricky thing.
Agreed. Well, I want a cat baby and a dog baby, so I'm psyched to get one day. Okay, so then other people who are saying, I dislike animals and I don't like pets, do you think, I know we can't guess, it's just a guess, that they probably are dealing with some mental health stuff that they haven't dealt with before, and that's why they want to be away from high-vibing creatures?
Maybe. If I say that, then my avoiding animal years are years where I had terrible mental health.
You did, though.
Well, maybe so. But same for yours.
Yeah.
So, that's a fine way to look at it if you want,
right?
Because I was in that group.
Sure.
But a more pleasant way to look at it is that every human goes through phases of growth, and we all start at a certain frequency and end at a certain frequency, and it's fine to have a phase like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not mentally unhealthy. It's just part of your journey.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So potato, I don't know.
Okay. Well, for me anyway, I was so low vibe that I didn't like to be around high vibing people or pets in general. Even people that were higher vibing than me I didn't like them. They were too cheerful. They were too positive. They were too annoying. Sure. There was always something wrong with them.
Sure. But if you're in a bitter, cynical phase of your life, those people are going to be so distant from you in frequency, you're not going to resonate.
Right.
But as you grow, you're 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, as you grow and your frequency increases, you'll start to realize, I like being around cheerful people. I don't know what I was ever thinking. That's so weird that I would avoid them. I guess I was just an angsty teen. But there's an actual frequency-based, vibrationally based reason for this kind of harmonizing or clashing.
Right. It's good. Thank you. Well, I don't know if you know about my current pet project, but it's Eyes Wide Open Volume 1. It's the world's first self-help coffee table book. And even though there's no cute little adorable pets in this one, maybe we can make Jay or talk Jay into putting some in Volume 2. Let's see. Well, we're giving away free PDF copies of the Pet List Eyes Wide Open Volume 1. Go to eyeswideopenfree.com and get your free copy too. And you'll be signed up for our newsletter and find out all the hot goss that we share 3 times a week because we love you and we want to be pet. Okay, ads over. So I thought we could talk about animal experiences that we've each had that were positive or negative and how maybe they have helped or hurt our mental health. So you can go first.
All right. I think my coolest animal story by far is when I went to the Ontario Butterfly Conservatory. And
it's cool.
I went with my friend, and no word of a lie, a butterfly stayed on me the entire time I was in that conservatory. From the moment I entered the building, there was a monarch or monarch-looking butterfly perched on my shoulder. And I could jump up and down. I could do a little jig. I could run. And it would stay perched on me. We took tons of pictures. My friend was like, dude, what is happening? I can't believe what I'm seeing. I've never seen anything like this. Even the staff at the conservatory were stunned because when I got to the exit, it was still on me. And they apologized and said, sorry, sir, we have to brush this butterfly off you. I was like, all right, well, it was fun while it lasted. And that was my most outstanding animal experience to date.
Yeah, and you made an Instagram post about it. You have photos on there. And that was when I was stalking you and I found your Instagram. That was one of the posts that made me feel like, oh, it's so cute. Because this butterfly just wanted to be near you the whole time. And at the time I was obsessed with you and I wanted to also be near you the whole time. So I resonated with the butterfly story and it was really cute. I was hanging onto your shirt and stuff. And
well, for you, it was on this side because the
because the mirrored
Instagram was
camera,
mirrored.
yeah.
But it was actually on the side.
Oh, on that side. Okay. Well, anyway, I thought that was really cute. And I have a similar story. Actually, my kids and I went to the state fair, or not the state fair, the local fair in Florida. And they had a really small, it was like a tent, really. And it was a mini butterfly conservatory. And they had some plants and a bunch of butterflies. And I went in and it was the same exact thing happened. But it was my hand. It wouldn't leave my hand. I kept, like, I would shake my hand like this and would fly away and come right back. And it was really cute. And on the way out, I also have photos somewhere where, and on the way out, they had to physically take the butterfly off of me so that I could leave the little tent area. And it felt so nice. I was like, oh my God, this little butterfly just loves me so much. I don't know why. And back then, like, especially, I was not a very positive and cheerful person. So it was one of the times when I was really an angry, hateful person that something outside myself made me feel so good. And in those moments in that tent, I felt so, like, loved. And I felt like, oh, maybe life isn't so shit.
Yeah, I had something like that happen to me too. When I was homeless, there was a brief period where my uncle said I could stay at his place for Christmas. And so I took my giant backpack and crashed there for a bit. And his girlfriend at the time was an alcoholic, and she was kind of abusive. And my uncle was kind of a gentle soul. Like, he wasn't really into conflict. He wouldn't deal with that stuff. Right. So he kind of enabled her. And I ended up moving out of the room they had for me down to the basement. But then she started coming down into the basement after a while. So I moved around the corner of the basement to this, like, little cubby hole. And I was hiding there with my backpack and my laptop. And it was just a miserable experience. Like, I was seriously considering just going back into homelessness.
Right.
It was only a few days, but they were miserable days. And they had a dog, a big Husky. And every time I basically ran away from me, so I didn't feel like I could say anything. I had no leverage. I have nothing what am I supposed to do? The uncle isn't going to stand up for this. And what is the guest supposed to do about this?
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
So every time I retreated from her, that Husky would come and stay with me.
Aww.
And it was awesome for me, and it was very comforting, but it just made her angrier because, like, I was stealing her pet. Like, why does the Husky want to be around me all the time?
Aww. Right.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Eventually on Christmas Eve, I just left.
Right.
Because she was,
insane.
Yeah, at the time.
Right. I didn't know that about the dog. That's really sweet. And I can imagine that somebody who's angry and low vibing would feel like you're taking away their pet. But the dog probably was so happy to have someone like you around because you're a high vibing person.
Yeah, well, back then, I don't know if I was as positive as I am now, but I was.
I mean, more so than an alcoholic.
Yeah, I was a decent. Yeah. I'm a good guest. I'm a good roommate, and I was generally happy. But whenever she started acting up, me and that Husky were like this. So I was really grateful.
Yeah,
I was really grateful.
That's lovely. All right, I have a whole bunch of stories, but I'm just gonna tell one negative one, and it also is one of the reasons why I pulled away from animals for a long time. So my aunt had a chow dog, and I had never been around big dogs, and the dogs that I were around were so, like, kind and weren't protective and weren't aggressive, right? And so my mom was on a date with some guy. She left and went on a date with a guy, and I bent down to pet the dog because I was fascinated. I was 11 years old, and the dog was eating, and I didn't know because we had a dog before who, like, I could, like, throw around and pull from its bowl, and, like, I didn't know that dogs would be aggressive and protective at the time of their food. And so he growled at me to warn me. And so I immediately backed away. And my aunt's like, be careful, he's eating. And I went to turn around towards her, and the dog bit me here and left a huge scar that was there for a really long time that has since faded. And because I was 11 and I was scared, I tinkled in my pants. And my aunt was not a very nurturing type of person, but she hugged me and she helped clean it up. And after that, I stayed away from the dog, one, because we were there for another week. And two, I put a guard up against any other animal, big or small. I didn't like dogs after that for a long time because instead of like, oh, it was my fault, which it 100% was, I should not have been touching a dog when it was eating. I let it ruin something really cool because I loved animals at the time. So, not a great story or whatever. However, since then, I have learned to embrace big dogs, small dogs. I know I said that was the last thing, but I'm going to tell one more thing because I don't want to end it on a negative note. When I was 18, I had a friend who had a huge dog, and that dog did not know she was big. She thought she was tiny, and she crawled on top of everyone. And that dog kind of cured me from hating other dogs and pets. So I can safely say that animals can definitely change your feelings and your mood and make you feel better, because that animal cured me of all the hate, quote unquote hate, I had for pets. And now I love dogs any size.
All right. Well, that's awesome. And you have to be smart about this stuff because every animal's not the same. Every person's not the same. Some animals have been negatively trained by their owners. And if you're dealing with an animal like that, I don't know if they're going to magically turn nice the second you walk around. There are experts who are way better at this stuff than me, right? The dog whisperer, Cesar Millan stuff. But generally, people have been playing with animals since the dawn of time, caveman times or something. And it's not exactly rocket science to go and experiment.
Yeah. And I love the experiences we had. You had a little pet bunny, right?
Yeah, Ginger.
It's so cute.
But I don't remember much because that was back when I was like, I'm not taking care of the pet. And so my brothers and sister took care of it.
All right.
But Ginger was cute. Like, she was nice.
Right.
I just
weren't into it.
I was an angsty teenager.
Yeah. My friend Lisa had a pet rabbit. She still has a menagerie of animals in her house. So I love it. I think it's a wonderful thing to have access to a pet, even if you don't have access in your home or people around you. This is a segue into my next question. Okay, so Jay, what can we do if our anxiety is so bad that we can't care for ourselves, let alone care for a pet properly, or we don't have access to a pet from neighbors or family or a therapist? What can we do?
Great question. I'm not sure if it's absolutely sincere coming from you because I don't think you're ever looking for a therapist.
I don't care about therapists, but there are people out there I know that are open to being in therapy.
Absolutely.
That want to try therapy and maybe having a pet, or therapy and non-therapy ways together.
Totally. But I know you feel like from your experiences, therapists just steal your time and money.
They do.
And health.
They do.
And energy.
They do.
So.
Okay, you got me. It wasn't sincerely my question. However, I do have a friend who has like, we've had this conversation, and she was like, yeah, but I can't afford a therapist and I can't afford getting a pet, and there's no way I'm in a mental space to take care of my pet. And so what I really want to tell her is to screw the therapist, get the pet, but
all good.
So I'm asking you, who has a more unbiased opinion about therapists.
It's like most things in life, you just got to get creative. Well, first you need to know where you're at and who you are. Some people are just not ready to take care of or own a pet. And that's fine. Like, do I want all 8 billion people on planet Earth to suddenly own a pet? No. Like, if you're not ready, that's fine.
Just a side note, in AA and NA, they tell you after your first year of clean time, try a plant first. And if you can keep it alive for a certain amount of time, then you can move on to a pet.
Yeah, so that's a good approach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I said, if you're going to get into this, you need to do more research and Google your things and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't come to a mental health channel for instructions on exactly how to make a pet work in your life.
No, of course not. Yeah.
That said, if you're really enthusiastic about it and you feel ready, you can start small. You could look up farms in your area and pay a visit or make some kind of arrangement. You could go to a petting zoo. That's what they're there for people to come by and pet and interact with the animals while someone else takes care of them.
Right.
Most people can find a friend or neighbor somewhere in the neighborhood who is more than happy to like let people interact with their animal. Just give it a shot, right? Start small experiments. Start with a plant, like you said, or like AA said. If you really want to give the animal experiment a try, there's plenty of ways to do it. There's organizations like the Cinnamon Trust, which is a giant nonprofit that looks after the animals of elderly people or something like that. And they're constantly looking for volunteers that will look after the animals or do a shift or something.
Yeah,
they'll probably train you and help you and do whatever it takes to get more volunteers on board.
Yeah, they need dog walkers and dog players and people to cuddle with the dogs and stuff. Yeah.
There's other services like Borrow My Doggy, I think it's called, or Pet Therapy R Us, or I don't know. Yeah. Like there are organizations for this.
Yes. There's also for the non-dog lovers, I don't know anywhere else, but in Sarasota, there's a place called the Cat Depot. And if it's in tiny little Sarasota, there's more where you go and play with cats.
Yeah, this stuff is like a Google away or a Chat GPT question away.
Right.
It's really tough to be any more helpful than you're going to get from those places.
True.
Right?
True.
And the same thing can apply to therapists. I don't know if I really count BetterHelp as a therapist, but if you want to get started small and quick and easy and inexpensively, you could try BetterHelp. You probably have a free trial or just listen to our podcast. You're not therapists, but I believe the conversations that we have on this podcast are far more helpful for people's mental health than any therapist I've interacted with. And if not us, there are other mental health podcasts out there that can be a good stepping stone for someone who is interested in getting into therapy, but not quite ready or wants to start small.
Yeah, there are therapists that have podcasts and put out content to help you in the same similar way that we do. But we always recommend that you do your research and find people and channels and content that feel the best to you. We're not going to tell you we're the best. I say it as a joke sometimes, but really it has to be what resonates with you. And there are therapists online that will take your finances into consideration, and you can pay on a sliding scale, which I think is pretty awesome, even though I highly recommend that you do your research first. And also, I want to put it out there that I spent 23 years in therapy and got 0% better. I spent 5 years with you and I got 100 million bajillion % better. I'm a completely different person than I was before. And I'm not saying that you can cure everyone, but the concepts that we discuss on this podcast and in the book, the reason we talk about them are because it worked. It worked for me. It worked for you. You healed yourself, then you helped me heal. And we have case studies of people that we've helped as well. So if you're interested in seeing that, go to jryze.me/praise and you'll see hundreds of people on there that say the same things that I do. So thank you so much for helping me and healing me, or helping me heal me, and being a great question asker and a great listener. Even if you get annoyed with me with my long storytelling, I don't care. It's who I am, and you decided to love me like this anyway. And one day when we get our cute little kitty and our little puppy, we will bring them on the podcast and share with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is a shorter episode, but it made me super happy because I really want people to understand that there are more things out there that can help you with your mental health, more than just talking about your traumas or journaling, which it's a great thing. I'm not saying it's not, but there are other things out there that you may not have thought of. You may not understand why you love pets so much, or you stay away from them. And kids are the same. Like for me, the way I feel about little kids and animals is the exact same. They're on that higher vibration, and I just can't help but want to squish them and love them, and just they make me so happy. Even if I don't interact with them and I just see them walk by me, they make me so happy.
Yeah, well, you've hit on something important, which is mood management. So there's a lot of full-grown adults walking around who feel like crap, and they refuse to really do anything to manage their mood.
Yeah.
They want a changed mood handed to them on a silver platter. They rarely, if ever, want to take responsibility. Like, I created this mood. It took me a while to get here, but here I am, and I have the power to change my mood.
Yeah.
It's rare that anyone takes this stance, but it's true. You have the power to change your thoughts, and certain thoughts bring certain emotions. You change your thoughts, you change your emotions. Or you can take a different approach. You have the power to change the sensations in your environment, the sensations of your body. You can lay in bed feeling one sensation, or you can get up and take a shower and feel a different sensation.
Yes.
You can lay in bed cramped and feel one sensation, or you can get up and pet an animal and feel another sensation. You can choose to do push-ups or planks. You can choose to go for a walk. You can choose to just do some breathing exercises. There are many sensations that you have access to, and along with those sensations will come changed emotions. Mood management is totally a thing for everyone on the face of the earth. We all have emotions, and we're all able to affect and influence those emotions. One of the best ways to affect and influence your emotions for the good is to interact with a unconditionally loving animal.
Yeah.
It's a really, really powerful thing. But so is getting a refreshing shower. So is going for a morning constitutional. So is dancing it out. So is playing fun games. There are many things you can do to manage your mood. And I don't just mean, oh, I put on Netflix and I felt better. Now I'm addicted.
Yeah.
I mean conscious, intentional mood management, doing things that you know are going to uplift and elevate you, as opposed to things that will not uplift and elevate you. So although animals are just one way, they're a very good way, and it's a great starting place for someone who's new to mood management.
Yeah. That's really good that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people walk around thinking, I'm having a bad day. I can't change this. I hope tomorrow's a better day.
You can change it right now.
Of course you can. Yeah. Like I have had moments where I thought
you were in excruciating pain, and you changed it in an instant.
Yes. I've been able to do it physically and change my pain like this, change my thoughts, change my feelings, change my the pain.
Your whole state, state of being. And you've done it for mental stuff too.
Yeah.
Just the other day, you were crunchy for some reason, and you just changed it like that.
Yeah. I was like, that doesn't matter. I'm good. And it wasn't that I was hiding how I was feeling. I had to express it first so that I could feel better, because
you knew expressing it would be one thing that manages your mood.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes you know that expressing it is not helpful, and you just go for a walk.
Yes.
I've seen you do it.
Yes.
It's very smart.
Thank you.
So you know when expression is going to help manage your mood and when expression is going to make it worse.
Yes.
Very smart.
Yeah. I've learned this the hard way, so I can tell, and I'm just sharing this with people so maybe if they don't realize it's happening to them. When I have a thought on a loop, this is when I know I have to express this. It won't shut up. I have to either write it down or say it out loud. And sometimes I'll try to write it down first, and the loop feels better, but it still goes. So then I know, okay, I have to talk about this. Or I have to at least say it out loud. And it's really helpful for me anyway. And that's when I say to you, like, I just want to express, don't want to really talk about this, but I need to get it out. And I'll say it, and you're like, okay. And immediately I feel so much better.
Great job managing your mood.
Thank you. Thank you. And a really quick way to do this is definitely by picking up a cuddly, cute little animal. And you'll notice in the stories that we told, we both had experiences with butterflies. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something cute and cuddly and fluffy.
Some people have pet tarantulas.
Yeah, like, or pet scorpions and snakes.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
do you.
Yeah, whatever brings you joy. If looking at cute little baby bats makes you happy, then look at cute little baby bats. We're not judging or saying you have to like the pets that we're talking about or the animals we're talking about at all. But anyway, I just thought I should mention that, because most people wouldn't consider a butterfly as something that could lift your mood, but it did for both of us. So that's pretty cool. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your help, helping me to learn to love pets and learn to, now I want them. Not right this moment, but like going forward, this is my goal eventually. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have one more question. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our amazing audience.
Yes, you are powerful, and you have the power to elevate and uplift yourself at any time. You might not think it, you might not feel it, you might not believe it, but the reality is you do have that power. Everyone does. And one of the ways to manage your mood and improve your mental health and feel better is to go to a therapist. And this is a common method for many Westerners. Whether I think that's the best approach or not doesn't matter. But if what you've been trying as mental health solutions so far haven't really been doing the trick, or if you're just starting your mental health improvement journey, I highly suggest interacting with an unconditionally loving animal. You may be massively surprised at the incredible results. Either way, I believe in you. You got this.
And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you'll know that pets heal and therapists steal. So now you can go watch this video here called 5 Lies About Anxiety That Your Therapist Told You, to help you heal and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.